Let go into the mystery, or as I like to say sometimes, I'm comfortable with mystery, or I need to get comfortable with the mystery. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Shakespeare in Hamlet, right after he sees the ghost of his father, he sees the impossible. And so he's trying to talk to his friends, and after he's seen the impossible, he can never go back to seeing just what's ordinary. Now, I don't recommend that we go on to murder everybody the way it happens in Hamlet. But this idea that once we've had a glimpse of the mystery, it's really important not to go back to sleep. And if you haven't had a glimpse of the mystery yet, I invite you to begin to get comfortable with the fact that we don't know. We cannot know, as Rachel Remen says. There are things we cannot know. We cannot know how this is going to turn out. No matter how hard we pray, no matter how many circles we go into, no matter how much we study up on it, no matter how many models we use to predict it, we can't know. I like to tell the story of when Erin was like 3. One day I told her, I said, we'll go to the park tomorrow. It's not supposed to be raining tomorrow. She wanted to go outside. I said, let's go to the park tomorrow because it's not supposed to rain tomorrow. And the next day it rained. And she was so angry. She kept going, it's not supposed to rain. It's not supposed to rain. And I realized how we use that language. It's not supposed to rain. It's not supposed to be this hot. Well, apparently it is, because this is how hot it is. And I was telling my husband yesterday as we were driving in the car, I said, you know, when I decide to get mad at the weather, I decide to be mad about 9 months of the year in Texas. So do I really want to do that? You know, some days the answer is yes, I just want to be mad because I'm sweating. But the awareness is the beginning of it. It's like, whoa, I'm holding this anger in my heart. At what? At the way things are. At the way things are. And if there is a God in Buddhism, that is the way things are. This is the way it is. You can't even know what it is, but you can let go into what is instead of fighting it all the time. But what we like is certainty. We want to put God in a box. We want to put the world in a box. We want to put people in the box. We don't like it when the people we love behave out of character. Well, that's not like you. Well, apparently it is like you today, because that's how you were today. And what would it be like if instead of trying to figure out what kind of box we can put God in, what kind of box we can put life in, what kind of box we can put people in, what if we decided to live every day as a discovery of something new in every moment? Because guess what? It is. Every moment is new. You know, the Buddha said this, he was very, very literal about this. He believed, and of course quantum physics has really kind of carried that out, you know, thousands of 2,500, 2,600 years later, that there really is no such thing as time like chronology. There's a moment and a moment and a moment and a moment and a moment, and they're not actually connected. We are just perceiving them that way. And there's no such thing as something solid. There are only atoms acting in a certain way that our eyes perceive as solid. And yet we think we know, we want to put it in a box. So here's what I want to say today. What we see, because we tend to believe the proof of our eyes, what we see and what we know cannot compare to what's within and what's possible. As soon as we put it in a box, we try to make ourselves feel safer that way, but we limit the possibility so that even if the impossible happens, we can't see it because we're only seeing the lid of the box or the sides of the box. So what we see and know cannot compare to what's within and what's possible. What we see is a very small percentage of what is. And as Rachel Raymond said so beautifully, certainty closes the eyes. It closes the mind. Have you ever had like a really, really good friend, or maybe even your spouse, that gets a haircut and you don't notice for like 2 weeks, and you go, "Oh, honey, I like your hair." And they go, "I've been waiting." It's because you already saw them and you don't have to see them anymore. Think about that for a minute. You already know what they look like, so you don't have to see them anymore. What would it be like if we got to see everybody again and again and again and again in each moment, instead of deciding who they are, even to the point of deciding what they look like? What would that be like? It sounds overwhelming to me, and yet to be overwhelmed with discovery, to be overwhelmed with possibility, is a lot better than to be overwhelmed with the dread that I tend to overwhelm myself with when I look around the world and try to put it in a box, or a handbasket, if you will. We're going to hell in a handbasket is what I think, right? And so I fill myself with dread, but it's the dread I know. And there are many predictable possible outcomes that I have decided upon, and I can deal with this one in this way, and I can deal with this one in this way, and I can deal with this one in this way, and if this one happens, I'll explode or move to Canada. And then we think we've handled it. Okay, got my bearings, I can go through the day. Whew, we've just exhausted ourselves with 4 of infinite possibilities that there are. And here's the really sad thing. If those infinite possibilities happen, we're likely not even to notice. We will choose one of our 4 and act as if it's true often. And then that puts us in a box. It puts our life in a box. Because certainty is about control, y'all. I need to know how this is going to turn out so I can decide in advance how to act. And we don't live with uncertainty very well. Certainty feels safe. Even if it's certain death, we go, okay, well, it's a death. It's going to happen at this time. This is the way it's going to happen, and this is how I'm going to handle it in every moment. And this is, I'll go ahead and start grieving now so I can be prepared for the time when I'm supposed, you know what I mean? We do this. We play all these head games. And really, it's just about thinking that if we know what it is, we can handle it. And so here's a really important thing for you to know. You can handle it because you're not alone. You have all the love there is within you, informing you, available to you in every moment. You have the love that you are, in this sort of more esoteric sense, that we are one with that one love, that presence, that power, that peace, that possibility. And we have the love that is with skin on. Look at all the love. Look around. Feel the love in the sanctuary, as the song says. Here's love with skin on. Here is love for you. Here is proof that you're not alone. Here is proof that you're not alone, and you can handle it. You can, whatever it is. Wait for the moment. You can't anticipate what the moment will require of you. All you can do is wait for it and develop tools to help you be open to the wisdom of each moment, to prepare for the next. So, a tool for what we see. We can start practicing, I don't know. We can start practicing, wait and see. We can start practicing, could be, maybe not. And we could practice, I wonder, and leave it there and not have to fill in the blank. Life will fill in the blank. Life will fill in the blank. So those are some things to handle about what we think we see. And what we think we know is always based in history, right? Either what has happened to other people over time, or experience what has happened to us in our lifetime, our personal history. And so we think we know what's going to happen based upon what's happened before. And is that always true? I promise you, you got up a different person this morning than you were yesterday. Maybe you haven't noticed that your atoms are completely rearranged and you've actually swapped them with millions of people by now. So what we know is based in history or experience. The other thing it's based in, and this is really, really important, is imagination. What could it be? We can imagine that, right? But unfortunately, we tend to use our imagination to reimagine history and to reimagine experience. Or, if you're like me, a fourth-generation worrier, to imagine the worst thing that could possibly happen all the way down the road to the apocalypse, and then go, okay, now I can prepare for this. No, I can't. One time, a long time ago, when Bob and I were first married, I forget what we were talking about, and he said, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? And I said, well, this, and then this, and that would inevitably lead to this, and then this, and then this, and then this. And I was just talking, and it was really quiet, and I finally looked over at him, and he was staring at me with his jaw hanging down. Like, is that how you think? I'm like, yeah, it's dangerous in here. Really don't want to go here alone. But becoming aware that that's what we do, we can put up a stop sign. I'm not going down that path. I'm using my imagination to torture myself. If I'm going to use my imagination, why don't I use it to love myself? Why don't I use it to teach myself? Why don't I use it to experience awe and wonder and possibility instead of experiencing the worst thing that can happen? Because here's what happens when our imagination is limited by our thinking. We're thinking, right? We forget about grace. We forget that we don't have to do it all. That things sometimes actually, I would argue that every time things happen, they happen in the way that they're supposed to happen. And if we're alive to the gifts of it, we will receive the grace. That's all grace is. And I was taught as a young child in a fundamentalist church that grace is what you get even though you don't deserve it. What I know now is grace is what you don't have to earn, you don't have to figure out. You just have to be open to, because it's there, just like love is there. Grace is there. And it comes in so many forms, we can't even guess about the forms that it's going to come in. Here's a quote from Adyashanti from his book, Falling into Grace. Grace is something that comes to us when we somehow find ourselves completely available. When we become open-hearted and open-minded and are willing to entertain the possibility that we may not know what we think we know. Again, those tools. Here's the tools about what we think we know. I could be wrong about that. Next time you're watching the news and you start making pronouncements about handbaskets and where they're going, say to yourself, I could be wrong about this. I could be completely wrong about this. I'm open to being completely wrong about this. I'm open to good things happening regardless of the outcome of a certain event or another. I could be wrong about that, even your most cherished notions. Well, the one thing I know is that if a person does that, they are bad and wrong. Whew, man, have you just cut yourself off from love, from grace, from forgiveness, from possibility? You've cut yourself off from yourself because we are one. And every time you look out there and find somebody and label them bad, you are labeling whatever that thing is that you see in them that you see also in yourself. And so you've just condemned yourself. If we could know that everything we do to another, we're doing to ourselves. I could be wrong about that. Ooh, here's a hard one. They may be right. They may be right. What if they are? And then watch yourself when you say they may be right, going, yeah, but no, not likely. Because I know what I know. I'm being spiritual and saying they may be right, but I know what I know. Ooh, then that's my cue to look in myself and go, wow, I'm really entrenched. Actually, I am married to things going poorly if I've already decided that that's the way they're going to go. Whoa, We don't want to hear good things about people we don't like, do we? We don't want to hear bad things about people we do like. We don't want to hear good things about people we don't like. We've already made up our mind. Don't confuse us with new information. I could be wrong. They could be right. There could be another way besides the ones that I have made up. It'll either go this way or this way or this way or this way. Guess what? There could be another way. And what I know is that God makes a way. God always makes a way. When we can see no way, God makes a way. That's the whole point of the Israelites leaving Egypt and going into the promised land. The whole point of that story. Is it a literal truth? Yeah, I doubt it. Or it may have some elements of truth in it, but the point of the story is just when you think it's absolutely impossible, then the last thing you could ever dream up happens, and things get okay. And vice versa. Just when you think, I've got it made, something happens, and you're wandering in the wilderness for 40 years when you thought you were one day away from the promised land. That's what happens when you make up your mind. But when you are just open, anything could happen because God makes a way where there is no way. So there's some tools to deal with what we think and what we think we know and what we think we see. And then there's what's within, which is more powerful than what we know or what we see. We all have a strength that we will never know about until the moment that it's tested. And maybe we don't want the test, but you'll never know that about yourself until you're tested. And I know everybody in this room has been tested in some really big way, not just once, maybe daily. And yet, here you are. Here you are. Here we are. That's how we get to know our strength. That's how we get to know that there's always more. There's always more than we think. Even if we feel like, oh, well, I was right about that. Oh, there's so much more. There might have been some correctness in there, but there's so much more. There's more than what we think. And what we know is that we rise. We have that strength. And regardless of what knocks us down, we rise. In Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will be added unto you. Actually, the kingdom of heaven and righteousness. And righteousness in this context doesn't mean self-righteousness. That's what we know and what we see. It means just right living, greeting each moment as it comes with an open heart and doing your best to love through it, to love yourself through it, to love the world through it, to love each other through it. If that is what you are seeking, rather than being right or proof seeking, let me see the kingdom of heaven which is within and among us. Let me see it. Let me know it. Let me feel it. Let me have glimpses of it. A glimpse will sustain us for so long. Let me see that. And then everything else will be taken care of. Everything else will be taken care of. Did Jesus say that because he was a prophet and he knew exactly your life and he knows how everything's going to turn out? No, I think he said it because he knew it in his heart to be true, because he lived with his heart completely open. That was his gift to us, is to show us that a human being can live completely open-heartedly. Ellen Grace O'Brien, I love her writings. She says, things are what they are, right? The way things are what they are. What they are to us is up to us. What's going to happen is going to happen. How are you going to think about it? What are you going to decide about it? What box are you going to put it in? Because you can put it in a box that is very painful, or you can put it in a box that stays open and says, I wonder, I wonder. So here's a tool. Quit trying to figure out shortcuts to the game. Right? Quit trying to figure out the tricks that'll help you master the game. And just do your exercises so that when the game begins, you're strong and ready. Does that make sense? Football players don't just practice football, they weight train, they run, they do all the things that make their bodies ready for the game. Yes, they learn about the game too, but knowing everything about the game will not matter if they're not in condition. And so these are the tools that I'm giving you, that I'm trying to use myself to condition myself. I don't know, wait and see. It could be, maybe not. I wonder. I could be wrong. They might be right. There is another way. God makes a way where there is no way. Just do your strength training, and then you'll be ready for what happens. That's what's within you, I promise you. And then what's possible, within and without. Ditch the box. God makes a way. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness. I will make rivers in the desert. I will make rivers in the desert. That's from Isaiah. I just love that. I love that verse. I will make a way. Stop worrying about your little tiny human machinations trying to make a way. Allow this thing that is so much bigger that we say we believe in. We are that one love. We are awakening to the one love that we are. Let that be in charge. So here's the tool for how to live in the mystery. One day, one moment at a time. Because the moment we start projecting into the future is when we have lost our ability to meet life as it comes. It's when we've pre-decided how we're going to meet life, regardless of how it comes. We've pre-decided, I'm going to be happy if this happens, I'm going to be sad if this happens. I'm going to be mad if this happens. I'm going to move to Canada if that happens. Whatever thing that you've made up, know that there are so many more possibilities than you have any idea of. So take it one day, one moment at a time. What is in it from me? Not for me, from me. What is this moment calling me to? And I tell you, if you're able to remember to ask yourself that question, even occasionally, you will get that the answer is what's in it from me is love. If I'm not feeling the love in this situation, then I'm the one that's not giving love to the situation. And I can change that on a dime in this moment. And maybe I can't sustain it forever. Whoa, that's way too much love in the face of way too much scary stuff. You don't have to sustain it forever. You do it this moment, and then you do it the moment after that, and then you do it the moment after that. The way the Buddha says our lives really run, moment by moment by moment by moment. In the midst of immense complexity, says Gail Straub, my service is radically simple. I do whatever small thing is needed in a given moment with a loving heart. It's from her book, Circle of Compassion. So show up with all of us, open heart, love at the ready, not to conquer all, but just to be there for it. We're going to die, y'all. Every single one of us is going to die. And we have a tendency to die again and again and again and again, or live a living death long before our death comes. Being awake and aware in every moment means singing and dancing with life. Dancing with the music that shows up. And one last quote from Jeff Foster. Leave everything undefined. Don't make up your mind about it. Leave everything undefined, including yourself. Ooh, you think you already know who you are, don't you? You have no idea. You have no idea the wonders that lie within you. Befriend uncertainty, fall in love with mystery, kneel at the altar of not knowing. Give your questions time to breathe, and the answers will find you. Thank you. So we're just going to take that idea into meditation. I invite you to just ground yourself in your body right now. Yes. We are embodied spirits. There's no dichotomy there. There's no, I am a body and a spirit. I am a spirit in a body. And my body informs my spirit and vice versa. And so we simply breathe into the body. Feel the place where our feet touch the floor. And know that we are literally drawing energy up from the earth into ourselves. Feel the expansion that happens with every breath. Now, if you can, feel the connection from the top of your head to everything there is above. In the East, they call that the crown chakra. The 1,000-petaled lotus sits there, open to everything that is, all the possibilities, all the wonder. And we can connect to that in this moment. And as you breathe, as you feel this connection in your body, say to yourself, perhaps, I wonder. And see if you can find, even in this moment, a feeling of safety in I wonder. We want to find our safety in I know. I've already decided. But we don't know. I wonder. And if I wonder feels scary, then remind yourself that I wonder what God, what love, what infinite possibility has in store for me. Not, I wonder what bad thing is going to happen now. That's just your imagination. That's just your thoughts making stuff up. So if we're going to have thoughts, let's use them to remind ourselves. I wonder how love will show up for me today. I wonder how love will show up in me today. I wonder how love will show up through me, where I don't even have to figure it out. I just have to be open to that love flowing through me and allow it to go where it wants to go. Because God's already made a way, and you are it. You are the way. So let's not impede its flow. Let's stay open with I wonder. And in that I wonder, acknowledge that there is grace in every moment. Every moment there is grace. Not necessarily in some huge gesture that happens somewhere down the road where there's a crisis, but in this moment there is grace. Breathe it in. I wonder what grace will show up for me today. I wonder what grace I will be able to extend to another today without perhaps even knowing it. I wonder what grace will look like. Because the moment I think I know what it looks like, I may miss it if it doesn't look like that. I am open. I'm free. I am ready. And so it is. Amen.